So let's say you found a skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
All right, hey everybody, it's Dapper Dino here with Gutsa Gibbon. He's not on camera today, but that's cool because that is definitely not a requirement. And we are here for some more Eric with Erika. We have the tail end of the Did Dinosaurs Live with Man? And I say the tail end, but at the pace we go, I don't know how long it'll take us to get through that. But if we do today, I do have another one. Erika, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm optimistic that we'll get through it, but it really does just depend on, how much Eric feels like oozing his rank nonsense all over the place. With the fact that we're starting with the Ica stones too, I'm optimistic but not. But I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm surviving, I'm thriving.
Okay, nice. Well, I am here with a prickly pear and rosemary infused gin and tonic, and it is frankly amazing. As I had said earlier, this is probably the best drink I've had in 3 years or so. It's really, really good. So I highly recommend anyone who does drink and who likes gin at all to go ahead and try infusing some gin with prickly pear. It is... First, the color is great. You can see it on my Twitter. It's this wonderful purple color. And yeah, it's just a great drink. Can't stop talking about it, but I have to. So, Erika, what are you having tonight?
Ooh. Oh, the huge. I'm having a pineapple white claw. I actually I forgot to say something cool that happened to me today. I went to the secondhand market near my house and I got let's see, what is it? An 8-point deer skull and a steer. So a deer skull and a steer skull. So cervid and bovid. And both are in excellent condition. I got them both for like $35.
And you just have room for these?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh,
just,
cool.
I just make more shells.
Fair enough. It's just I'm thinking like those are not small skulls. The horns and antlers.
Yeah, they're big ass skulls.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. I seriously underestimated how much space that this freaking deer was gonna take up. Like, I actually have no idea where to put it. And I guess this farmer runs like he has like this big tract of land, and stuff just like dies on it all the time, and he like lets it, desiccate basically, and then brings the stuff there. Yeah, true, Mr. Wilford.
Yes.
Ain't no laws on the claw.
That's true. As Mr. Wilford said, for $5, ain't no laws when you're drinking claws. Well, I'm not drinking a claw.
That is absolutely...
It's true, though. Does it extend to your drinking partners?
Well, the claw... Oh, my claws?
No, the laws. The lack of laws. Does that extend to the other drinking partners?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I thought you were asking if my partner in life, my fiance Luke, drank claws. He does. That's the thing. He does, but he prefers craft beer. So.
Well, I do too.
We get some good craft beer here where I live. So.
Okay. Well, speaking of drinking, let's go over the drinking rules. Because while this is a drinking game, I do want to point out there that the Dapper Dinosaur channel does not want you to play this drinking game with alcohol unless you can do so responsibly. And so we also take no responsibility or liability for any injury to yourself or others, or destruction of property, or any other such things that may occur as a result of following these drinking rules. Drink responsibly, and in no way is it a requirement to hang out here or to play along that you use alcohol, or even any liquid, although water is good for you, so I encourage you to have water if nothing else. The drinking rules.
If you want to hydrate or dehydrate here on the show, be Dapper and I's guest.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if I'm being totally honest, it may turn out reminiscent of the several tragedies that have occurred to the public eye where people have actually died from water intoxication.
You take sips of water, not gulps.
Well, yeah, gulps are going to put you in trouble if you're playing with the normal rules here.
Either way.
Especially in these kinds of episodes, because Eric he tries to make a lot of jokes in these Battleship Apologetics
Yeah, it's
pieces of media.
It's pretty rough. And David DB number says, did you infuse it yourself, or is this available to buy? No, I infused it myself. I bought prickly pears. I just have rosemary, and so what I did was, I'll just do it real quick. I cut up the prickly pear. So I've peeled one prickly pear because you do not want to eat the skin. Trust me. I mean, unless you want little cactus spikes inside your throat.
I was gonna say, is it prickly?
It is actually.
As the name promises?
Yeah, so commercially they often remove the glow kids, but you can't guarantee that that's the case. So, yeah, do not eat the skin. Even if you try to remove them yourself by burning them off, still, don't eat the skin. Just to be safe. Anyway, then cut it up into a few slices, muddle it into the bottom of a glass, put in some rosemary to taste, muddle that. Then I just poured the gin over it, stirred it up, and I let it sit for about 3 or 4 hours, I think. And then I put it in the freezer to help cool it down so it didn't warm up my drink too much. There you go. Anyway.
That's pretty bold.
Oh, I've done gin infusions before. I'm old hat at that.
Yeah, I'm not that good at that, but that's all right.
Yep. All right, so
I cope.
We drink whenever Eric says something so stupid that we just kind of have to, or our brains will melt. We also drink whenever Eric gets some, or, his guest or whomever, gets something right without it being just a straight up quotation. We also drink whenever Eric tells a story that we don't think happened because, he's like pretending his shower thoughts are real life conversations. We also drink when, let's see. We drink whenever...
jokes don't land.
Yeah, jokes don't land. That's true. Also, if one of us makes a prediction about what's coming next...
That's actually... The jokes don't land one is... It's really up there in the most dangerous rules of the game.
It is. There's so many bad jokes.
The most dangerous one is... Yeah, the worst one is still, I think, something so wrong that you just have to drink for it.
Yeah.
Because this is younger with creationism. But that being said, second only, right? We've got our joke rule.
Yes. Also, anytime that our creationist brings up the German National Socialists, or the German National Socialist Workers' Party, yeah, I think that was it. Whatever. You know who I mean. Then we drink for that. Because that happens a lot.
It's less uncommon than you would think.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising. Yeah.
It's usually for evolution bad reasons, though, which is kind of boring, honestly.
It's not even an argument. It's like, let's accept it. Okay, evolution leads people to do bad things. That doesn't make it false. So you've given a good reason not to teach it to kids, I guess, but you haven't given an argument against it. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and start. We've got 3.5 minutes of this video left. So let's see how far we can get.
Dr. Swift even allowed me to purchase a couple stones there from the museum.
Oh, did he? Did he allow you to purchase some stones from his museum? Eric, if that's actually true... Okay, so here, I'm going to take a drink because this is already ridiculously stupid. Hold on. Ooh, that's really good.
Okay, while you're drinking though, quick note: the fact that Eric spent money on the Ica stones is absolutely tragic. Like, you would be wasting less money, and I mean this unironically, actually setting your money on fire or like putting it into an NFT. Like, either one of those is going to be less wasteful than buying what is essentially a big rock with fake dinosaur drawings on it from like the 80s.
Heck, if you cash out on the NFT before the bubble bursts, you could actually make money.
Oh God.
That's technically true, you know that. Yeah, it's really stupid.
I refuse to even pay lip service to NFTs.
So here's why that's beyond stupid. Okay, this museum it's like public knowledge that this exists, right? In Peru. And if you buy an authentic Peruvian artifact, which you've just admitted to, you've now committed a felony in Peru. So either Eric and this guy have both just committed felonies and admitted to it openly and publicly, or these aren't authentic artifacts. Those are the options that we have here. Which ones do you think are true? Now, granted, a Hoven committing a felony isn't exactly unheard of.
Yeah, one might even say it's common as an occurrence, at least in relation to your average Joe.
Ooh. Was that a dig at his first wife?
Now, it wasn't intentionally, but it is now. The thing too about this is that it's like that strikes me as the same thing as the what was the I'm not meaning to have try to have like a political conversation, but it reminds me of the Tucker Carlson gag where it's like, no, you don't understand. We're telling mistruths here and there, but no one would actually believe them, right? Like, you can't prosecute us. They know what they're getting into. That's like the whole Eric Hovind buying the Ica stones, and when the folks come and ask questions about them being artifacts, he's like, no, you don't understand. They're not real artifacts.
This is for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, it's just entertainment purposes. That's it.
And for $5 from Carrie Bronson, could we end up with an Alex Jones scenario where he needs to admit that he knows he's full of it in order to avoid court judgment? Yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. Yeah, that because Alex Jones also did that in his custody battle with an ex-wife over some kids that he has, apparently. I don't know. He admitted in court, like, oh no, this is just a character I played. This is not the real me. It's like, well, that does explain a few things.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh God, look at him standing there in his green shirt.
It's
what a. How did he manage to find off-brand neon yellow?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange, like, snot color. I don't. You know what? There's clearly some weird color grading. I think the actual color of that shirt is not actually what we're seeing because, like, if you look at it, like, his skin tone has way too much saturation, and, like, why is the Ica Stone color green? I think he's actually wearing a yellow shirt, and there's some weird color boosting and color grading going on.
That's possible. All right, let's let him continue. I want to hear him tell us about these Ica Stones.
That he purchased as a very wise investment.
And I brought them back here, so now here in our museum, we've got a collection of Ica Stones that you can come and see. Yet again, great evidence that man and dinosaurs have always lived together.
Okay, so I just, not that long ago, finished my Cindy Lincoln video series on her Day 6 creation thing, right? So this is an old video that she re-uploaded to her channel of her giving a tour to, I think just specifically for the recording, of the Dinosaur Adventureland so-called Science Center. And going through the Day 6 exhibit, because apparently they have it arranged by days of creation. Also, for $5, Goop23 says, chemicals in the water turning the Ica Stones gay.
Oh my God.
You know, the crazy thing about that was that there actually was something to the... There was some papers behind the chemicals turning the frogs gay. Turns out they were incorrect in their conclusions, but at least there was something to it. There's nothing to the Ica Stones.
Dude, I can't believe that seriously, that felt like a concluding sentence what he just said, so I'm not sure if he's actually going to continue onward, but for those of you out there who maybe aren't in the know with the Ica Stones, the drawings on the Ica Stones match the public conception of what dinosaurs looked like as these big, upright, lumbering lizards that had kind of an orthograde posture back in the 80s.
Yeah.
So, it's
70s and 80s comic books.
Yeah, so it's a little bit weird that now that we've found more and more material paleontologically from the Mesozoic, we're finding more and more that these dinosaurs, anatomically speaking, couldn't locomote that way.
Yeah.
Which means the Ica Stones are inaccurate because they are, of course, a modern drawing of what people thought dinosaurs looked like when they were etched.
Right. And for $2, Cedric Saunders says, horrible video editing must run in the family. Yeah, it might, actually. I've complained about Kent's video editing, although I doubt very much that he does it himself. And Eric's video editing here, like the weird color grading choices and stuff, I don't know. Maybe he just decided he really wanted to look too red and have his screen be too green. And, yeah, I really don't know, Cedric. Oh, we were on Ica Stones, right? So, I have a whole section on Ica Stones coming up in one of my Helping Cindy Lincoln videos, right? Because she goes into it. And one of the things that gets me the most is the feet on all of the depictions of these things are just horribly wrong. And to this day, feet are one of the things that people still get wrong. In fact, one of my little, like, hobbies is to go on Twitter, look at pictures of ornithischians that weren't drawn by actual paleo artists, and just say, why are the feet like that? Because they're always terrible. But if you saw these animals in real life, you would presumably get the feet right. They get the feet right on, like, jaguars and lizards.
Yeah, they tend to get the feet right on birds, too, when they draw them. I mean, it turns out people are pretty good artists, and they've been capable of capturing the likeness of ancient animals going back into, I mean, the very early Holocene.
Yeah, we have cave drawings that they're pretty good from, like, 100,000 years ago.
Oh,
well, maybe
yeah,
not that far.
yeah,
maybe it's,
absolutely.
like, 60,000. I don't know.
Well, I don't know when the... Let me look that up real quick.
Okay.
Well, this Steve art. You know,
While you do that, I'm going to hit play and see what else we get, because I think he's concluding up here.
64,000.
64. Okay, so my second one was a little closer. Okay. And yes, Goop23, Dapper Dino is out there looking at feet pics. That is technically correct. The best kind of
just
correct.
Dinosaur feet. Yeah, dinosaur feet.
Only dinosaur feet. Look, I'm a dinosaur, you know?
Not the scaly kind. No, not that kind.
Yeah, not the weird humanoid dinosaurs, the actual dinosaurs.
Not the fetish kind, the kind for academics only, for science.
Right. Exactly. Which could itself be its own fetish.
Yeah, very true.
Accurate dinosaurs, man. Oof.
A sapiosaurophile? Sapiosaurophilic?
We'll work out the terminology later.
We'll figure it out.
Yes. Oh, Arthur Bird asks what do ornithischian feet actually look like. So it's going to vary. The ones that I most often pick on are the forelegs of ornithopods and thyreophorans, as well as ceratopsian forelimbs. I also will pick pretty hard on sauropod, just all 4 feet. They're usually all terrible. And so I don't want to super get into it here, but I'll just say this. Ornithopods tend to put the digits 2, 3, and 4 into a single sheath that ended in some blunt claw-like things sometimes just a pad of flesh. Some of them had a digit 1, some of them had it as a little spike, some of it just had it hanging out there. Digit 5 usually is either reduced or absent entirely. Ceratopsians tend to have digits, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like 1 starts pointing directly forward and they just kind of splay out to the side. Then digits 4 and 5 don't have claws, and digit 5 doesn't actually touch the ground. Thyreophorans have a similar kind of thing going on, but it's not exactly the same, and I don't want to get into the exact details there. When it comes to sauropods, most of them don't have any phalanges for digits 2, 3, 4 in their forelimbs, and only on digit 1 do they actually have any phalanges, and it ends in a spike. And then that's for the forelimbs. In the hind limbs, you only get 3 claws, and they curve out from medial to lateral. So they're laterally deflected away from the center line of the body. And there you go. That's a quick rundown on how dinosaur feet should look. Theropods always get it right because they just have bird feet. Because guess what? Birds are theropods.
Mammals are also kind of weird with the feet. It's especially when you get into like artiodactyls and perissodactyls. Both of them are pretty funky. But I'm sorry, this isn't a mammal conversation. What was I even thinking?
No, it's okay.
Do you find yourself jumping from site to site or wading through thousands of search results to find answers about God's Word and His creation?
Literally never. That has literally never happened to me because I know how to use Google to actually get at what I want. And if what I want is like, what do young Earth creationists say about this? It's really easy to find with Google. But
oh wait, is this? Oh my
God,
this is the search engine. That's right. We'd mentioned this the other one of our other conversations. But God, this thing drives me crazy. I bet they don't include biologos or reasons to believe on this because it's not YEC, so it must be wrong.
Let's find out. Search creation. Okay, search creation is searchcreation.org. I do not recommend using this browser, although it is pretty. I'm gonna give them that. It is pretty. Let's see.
Search creation, get answers.
Oh, I was gonna say it's pretty, but it's not designed to go with like the default dark mode on Chrome, so it's very hard to see that I've typed anything because it's white text on an off-white background. Let's see. Oh, and Throw the Dwarf of the House of Torg for $2 redo says, I love the show. I look forward to it every time. Thank you very much, Throw the Dwarf. I really appreciate that. So the first result is from Answers in Genesis, The Dangers of Biologos. That is Biologos Evolutionary Syncretism, Creation.com. ICR and AIG refute Biologos, the Institute for Creation Research. Biologos Pelagian Heresy from Creation.com. Is Biologos promoting heresy? Answers in Genesis. So it's just like ICR, Creation.com, and Answers in Genesis all the way down. That is amazing. And there's 10 pages of this.
Yeah, for real. This is the Simpsons. So you're calling God a liar. An unbiased comparison of creationism and evolution.
I'm taking a drink for those search results. That is amazing.
Incredible.
Gary Bronson for $5 says, ask my D&D group why I know so much about cloacae. Speaking of reptilian fetish material, oh no.
Hey, come on. There are actually some mammals that have secondarily evolved cloacae, in case you're worried about that, and mostly golden moles.
Hey, there are some that have the primitive condition and still have a cloaca.
That's true too.
Hello, monotremes. That's why you're called that.
We love our tachyglossids and ornithorhynchids.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, the reason monotremes are called that, it literally means one hole. It's because they've got a cloaca. They're named after the cloaca.
Monotremes.
Also, I don't know if you noticed, Erika, but in our side chat yesterday in D&D, there was some discussion as to whether or not a female pterosaur would have a cloaca or a vulva. I'm strongly on team cloaca because there's literally no possible way for it to be anything else.
Yeah, I was going to say, what would even be the precedent for anything other than
it would just have to be a mammal, because that's a strictly mammalian trait.
That's the real hot take, right? Dinosaurs are all just actually mammals.
Well, that is not all, but some dinosaurs are mammals is a take that you're going to find in the Helping Cindy Lincoln series.
God.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be... I'm not going to be mean to Cindy. I already addressed it. We'll wait for that. We're going to hit play and see what happens.
Well, no more. SearchCreation.org brings the top creation and apologetic websites together into one search engine while ignoring the thousands of sites that push lies and half-truths.
Oh my god!
Just literally just live in our echo chamber. I'm taking a drink for that. That is ridiculous.
I'm taking an additional drink for the music in the background for that, which sounds like a freaking Bowser boss fight in some, like, side branch Mario game.
It's also mixed way too high. Dude, like...
It is mixed way too high, yeah.
If you have dialogue in your video, music needs to be low. Like, that's just rule number one. Like, there's a reason that when I add music to any of my videos where there's going to be dialogue, I turn, like, the volume down to, like, 0.2 of what it normally would be. Like, yeah. So, I'll take a second drink for that horrible presentation. And, like, just like I said, look, it's Creation Today, Creation, ICR, AIG. It's literally just the search engine for YEC outlets.
What a stupid waste of money.
The thing is, I'll bet they actually make money on it.
Surely not, right? Like, surely no one goes to the trouble to be like, I sure don't want my eyes to be affronted. Like, their narrative of young Earth creation is that fragile that they can't even see tangentially with their eyeballs possible results that might contradict them. It's much safer to stick to your own search engine. That is so stupid.
Okay, but Erika, you gotta realize that there are people out there, I know some people out there, who think of Christian less as, like, a part of their identity and more like their brand that they have extreme brand loyalty to. They only listen to Christian versions of music, so they only listen to Christian rock or Christian rap or Christian pop music. They only go see Christian movies. They only want to see Christian websites.
There's a glut of that kind of media. There's not so much for the specific weird fringe opinions of young Earth creationists.
I don't know, man.
I mean,
PureFlix is still profitable.
It's just the thing they spend all their time talking about is how, absolutely incorrigible this viewpoint is. They're like, it's so obvious. Boy, evolution annihilated again. It's like, okay, so you seriously can't just go on Google and like, it looks like Wikipedia is pushing evolution. Well, no matter. I'll just find my proper site. It's like you got to go through the special search engine.
I mean, it's still up, so it must get enough traffic.
Just interneting on baby mode.
Oh yeah, I mean it really is because it's so tightly curated. But I mean, here we go. Let's just see what else they have for us.
So if you have questions about molecular chemistry, deep space, dinosaurs, or how to defend your faith in a godless world, visit us at searchcreation.org.
This website is not endorsed by the Dapper Dinosaur channel. Just letting you know. Just putting that out there.
What even was the graphic design of the little magnifying glass? Like, is it over a footprint? Was that what that was supposed to be?
I don't know. Let's mute it because I don't want to listen again and take a look.
Yeah, you'll see what I mean when they show like the main logo. What is it supposed to be, a footprint?
I think it's a cloud.
Is it a cloud?
I think so.
Okay.
Because, I mean, that's how you look at clouds through a magnifying glass, right?
Well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, Maddie would tell us all about that. I'm sure she uses Science Side Up, uses magnifying glass to study the weather all the time.
Naturally, of course.
Silver Harlow says, does that say it does not, although I have used that before, I think. Or at least, oh wait, no, he means the thing on the set. Yes, I thought he meant the thing in the thumbnail. Yes, it does say which I will leave it to as an exercise to the reader to, or I guess viewer, to translate that.
All right, that's enough of that, Dapper. Some of us that's rude in front of your non-Klingon speaking guests.
Hey, I mean, I've been encouraging you to take it for years.
I gotta get a more applicable language under my belt first, as someone who speaks
fair.
Just English with proficiency, I would say.
I gotta say, also, it's not every time I can work Klingon into an office illusion.
Yeah, that's no excuse, Dapper. Come on.
You know you like the office. You know you like the office illusions. Everyone does.
All right, let's trend along.
Okay.
Creation.org.
You're watching Battleship Apologetics here on Creation Today.
I can't believe our time is almost up. Let's take just a minute and review what we've learned. Number one, man.
Oh, by the way, you know how I said I like to criticize sauropod feet? Once again, we've got really crap sauropod feet going on here.
Yeah, I actually think we have previously discussed how bad these models' feet are. Like, weirdly enough, I'm pretty sure we've had this exact conversation.
Drink for Mothra. I forgot. We also drink for Mothra and Godzilla when they come by. Which my channel members can cause whenever they want by sending any super chat that includes a Mothra, Godzilla, or Ghidorah emoji. So, there you go. I'm sorry, I have to read it because it's in Klingon now. Benthoven says in the chat, Klingon Hodvijat Bet, which of course means I don't speak Klingon. Yeah. Although he said it in Klingon.
Knows that. I don't even have that one down.
That's like, lesson 1 and 2 of the Duolingo course. All right. That's okay.
And dinosaurs.
Hold on.
Oh, no worries. We'll just go ahead a little bit.
Have always lived together. Dinosaurs did not live 65 million years ago.
No, script.
I mean, they did, and you did not present good evidence. But I know I've talked about it a little bit before. One of the things about this argument is that it doesn't actually matter. Like, nothing about late surviving dinosaurs or other reptiles that are known to be extinct would, in any way negate evolution. You might argue that it's a prediction of young Earth creationism, so it might bolster it slightly. And, I guess, but, it certainly is not an argument against evolution. It really, really isn't.
Yeah, I don't even know, too, how this maintains consistency, right? It's like, the example that I always use, right, is that, okay, cool. Our sole evidence in the eyes of the young Earth creationists for dinosaurs and humans living contemporaneously is dinosaurs show up in art and humans have weird myths that have a lot of dragons in them. It's like, all right, okay, that's cool. Well, if we're going by that logic, then shapeshifter trickster gods must also be real, and so must animal-human hybrids, since both of those things are also in almost every human myth across cultures.
Why aren't you arguing for the historical existence of the Minotaur?
Yeah, it's not even Jungian, right? It's just noting that people tend to come up with similar ideas because their fears and anxieties were probably pretty similar back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, look, there are still parts of the world, in this country, I'm speaking from the United States, where eaten by wildlife is not an unheard of cause of death.
Yeah, people do still get eaten by stuff all the time. It really does happen. And it used to happen a lot more often. So I don't know. That's such a lame source of evidence. Of course, that's I say that like they haven't tried to go out and find like the Mokele Mbembe before, which they have have not come back successfully.
That's true. Actually, that's a point that I made in the Helping Cindy Lincoln series. I was like, look, Mokele Mbembe is a supposed large, mysterious creature in the Congo. But the Congo already has a history of large, mysterious creatures. And some of them were thought not to exist, like the okapi or the gorilla. But you know what happened? With the bellyache, yeah. But you know what happened when people went looking for those organisms?
They found them.
Yup, that is exactly what I said. You know what happened when people go looking for Mokele Mbembe?
Yeah, and they were also smaller and more cryptic.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I hate to tell you this, but it's a lot harder to find, a temperamental ungulate like an okapi than it is to find a gigantic sauropod. They didn't find scat, they didn't find feeding marks, they didn't find footprints, nothing along those lines. There is not a sauropod in the Congo, as depressing as that is to say.
Oh yeah, I'm totally pro late surviving sauropod.
I'd love that. That'd be dope.
Right. It's just
there's just no support for it.
Right. Look, most cryptids would be super cool if they were real.
That's me with Bigfoot. Like, I would love Bigfoot to be legitimate.
Oh yeah,
I just don't think it is.
No, really, we all know that what you really want to be legitimate is the Fresno Nightcrawler.
That is true. Actually, the Fresno Nightcrawler is my favorite cryptid.
It's just pants.
Yeah, not many people know that about me, but the Fresno Nightcrawler is objectively better than any other cryptid just because of its simplicity, and the art of it is incredible. I love the Fresno Nightcrawler.
The Fresno Nightcrawler is one of my favorite cryptid memes, and there's like almost nothing on it. It's just amazing.
It's just pants. Like, that's the thing. It is a video of pants on a clothesline, and there's like 3 different ones to pick from.
Yup.
And the whole community has just embraced this. They're like, yeah, that pair of pants is our cryptid of the county, like. Some people have cool skunk apes or plesiosaurs, but you really just can't beat a pair of pants.
I mean, look, I appreciate a good pair of slacks.
That's the thing, and I gotta be honest with you. I think I would be kind of scared if I did see
just pants.
A real Fresno Nightcrawler, which is just a pair of white bell-bottoms trundling across the highway.
To be fair, yeah, that would actually be rather...
It would be alarming.
Yeah, it would be alarming. I would not be comfortable.
It also just has the wow factor.
Yeah. All right, we're going to hit go, though, because now we're just delaying. Delaying the inevitable.
It records that man and dinosaur were created on the same day of creation, day 6.
Job, one of the oldest books.
By the way, the Bible doesn't say anything about dinosaurs in Genesis. Just putting that out there. It doesn't say anything about them aside from birds.
Period.
Yeah, aside from birds, there just are no dinosaurs in the Bible.
Like, again, it would be dope. It just isn't so.
Yeah.
Books of the Bible records detailed descriptions of what could only be described as a dinosaur.
No, we're talking about Behemoth and Leviathan again, which, no.
Oh my god.
Look.
Behemoth and Leviathan. How many times do we have to go around in circles about that? I mean, no one other than young Earth creationists think that these things are dinosaurs.
Right. It's completely
from biblical
ridiculous.
Scholars to practicing Hebrew or to practicing Jewish people today, your average Joe, like
I think the word you were searching for was Hebraicists.
Yeah.
Which is someone who studies Hebrew as a scholarly study of the language. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's true.
No one thinks that.
So,
I mean, remember when Ziz was in there? Can we pour one out for poor Ziz, the apocryphal third beast?
Sure. I don't actually want to literally pour one out because that would just go onto the floor, and I don't want sticky gin and tonic on my floor. I'll take a drink for it.
Yeah, there you go.
Basically, for me, it boils down to this. Okay, look. You want to argue that this is a dinosaur. First, you have to be able to rule out any animals that we know were already there and known to those people. Because we know a whole lot of animals that were known to them. You have to rule every single one of them out. Then you actually have to convince me that this is a description that actually fits a known category of dinosaur. And no one can do either of those things. So...
Well, part of the issue, too, is that it's like the behemoth and the leviathan have opposite problems. The behemoth, they want to say it's a sauropod. What is the one thing everyone notices about a sauropod the second they see a picture of it?
Is it the feet?
Is it the feet? Yeah. It's the long neck.
Yeah, the one thing that's not in there.
The one thing that's not in there. And the converse problem is with the leviathan. What's something we know most dinosaurs didn't do? And what's one thing we know all dinosaurs didn't do?
Is it breathe fire?
It's breathe fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But why are we having this conversation, and pretending like this is anything other than like a gigantic Olympian style stretch?
Yeah. Also, Dr. Osiris does encourage everyone to hit the like button. Please do. It does help. Also, I'm not trusting my concurrent viewers because it's been jumping up by like 10 to 20 every once in a while. And I'm like, that seems unlikely to me. I don't think 10 people just showed up all at once or went away all at once. So I'm taking that one with a grain of salt.
I don't really know what's going on with our pal YouTube. So let's just...
Yeah.
They're already getting rid of the dislike button. I'm already fed up with them.
Well, hey, this is already going better than last week. Because I don't know if you know it, Erika, but last week we just didn't have a show.
Oh my god, what happened?
I couldn't send any data to the YouTube ingest server.
Oh right, now this is it's coming back to me.
Yeah, so Jackson and I are rescheduling. I think the last Tuesday of the month will probably be a Jackson with Jackson, or something like that. I don't know, because next up I think we're doing Matt with Maddie.
God, I'm smack dab in the middle of the hierarchy here because I'm jealous that Jackson gets to cover Jackson, who is like definitively less bad than Eric, but I am higher up than Maddie, who's covering Matt Powell. So it's like,
well,
I'm in the middle of the hierarchy. I'm happy where I'm sitting, but things could be better.
So Maynard Says for $5 says, on what day were mycelium and mushrooms made? They take in O2 and don't use photosynthesis, not animal and not vegetation. Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I don't think the Bible ever actually directly talks about fungi. I mean, obviously the authors would have seen mushrooms, so they would know that these organisms exist. But my guess is that just like they lumped bats in with birds, they probably would have lumped fungi in with plants. And my guess is that they probably didn't know about mycelium, because mycelium is not a very obvious thing. So I would say if you asked creationists, they would probably say that they came about with the plants, which was on day 4, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of this is determined, weirdly enough, this is so strange. I imagine, this is going to come as a shock to you guys, but a lot of this is based off of the intuition of the average person who knows absolutely nothing about the intricacies of biology, right? Like, your average person, if you ask them if a mushroom was more similar to a flower or a deer, would say a flower because it's stationary. It doesn't seem to have eyes or teeth or anything that people
grows up out of the ground.
Yeah, it's like, and people would say, okay, yeah, like that makes sense. That's definitely a plant. But then if we're going to take Genesis literally because it was written by God and thus couldn't be a dumbed down version of, of cosmology to make sense to the people that it's written to, it has to be literal. Then knowing where mushrooms fit is a little bit important, isn't it?
Yeah. And not really covered by the text. So that would actually be a good question to ask a young Earth creationist, I would think.
Well, they're too busy trying to sort out whether or not there were freaking thorns in the garden, or whether
oh my goodness,
scorpions had hollow stingers, or did vultures have bare heads for eating viscera? It's like, did God plan this stuff out, or was it just really, really, really fast genetic entropy? Like the second these things leave the garden.
Well, and it's sort of a lose-lose, right? Because if you say, oh yeah, God planned it out the whole time, it's like, well, then there wasn't this perfect world that could have lived perpetually because God knew it was all going to go to crap, right? Otherwise, why would he bother with scorpions with stingers and, vultures pre-adapted to eat carrion? And if it's actually that they weren't like that originally, and scorpions were just chowing down on vegetables somehow, even though they can't ingest solid food, which, go figure that one out.
Yeah, dude. I love feeding my local scorpions melons. They just love that more than anything.
Anyway, so and if they weren't like that, then that's a whole lot of evolution that has to happen really fast. Like, and not just the kind of little like, oh, it's like a fox getting a new color of fur. Like, no. We're talking like whole new anatomical features just popping up. So
how about dentition? How about the adaptation of dentition? You've got to go from, imagine.
Oh no, they just pretend that like carnassials can be used to slice up leaves, and that's an effective way to eat. And in case anyone doesn't know, carnassials they're specially adapted premolars that are shaped to shear flesh.
Yeah, that honing complex is definitely super adapted for cutting up leaves, just like the actual teeth that are adapted for cutting up leaves, which look nothing like the carnassials that we see.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, holy cow, look at any leaf-eating organism or gramivore, any folivore or any gramivore. It's selenodont, loxodont, lophodont, like all these different kinds. You know what it never is? It's never hypercarnivory adapted.
But Erika, you forget, if you focus on just the canines, you can trick people into thinking that dentition is not predictive of diet.
God, yeah, exactly. Like the cats are just using their carnassials to just shear dandelions apart. Like that is just, it's so insane. But then what would be even sillier would be to propose that they all had like ungulate dentition, right? And then they like
T-Rex has the teeth of an elephant.
Yeah, the big cats have like a dental pad, right? Like on the top. They don't even have upper incisors. They're just grinding it on a dental. They all have ruminant guts too, of course.
Obviously, that short little gut. That's genetic degradation. You see, when cats started eating meat, they lost their right. That's losing specificity.
Small is bad. Remember that, folks. If it's small, that necessarily means it's bad. It's bad.
I've literally heard creationists say the Great Danes have more genetic information than Chihuahuas because they're bigger.
Like, has no one told them about how like the biggest genome belongs to a freaking lungfish?
I don't think anyone has. No. I mean, look.
Yeah, it's just
the average amoeba has a much bigger genome than the average mammal.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, in animals it's a lungfish. So it's like 43 billion base pairs. Like Tiktaalik's descendants are just really raking it in on that on warding off genetic entropy, aren't they? The irony.
Oh goodness. All right, I'm gonna hit play.
Literature and art from many widespread cultures record accurate representations of dinosaurs.
Yeah, except they're not accurate. I'm just going to take a drink because it's just a straight up lie. It's just no.
Like, we haven't seen one example of that.
No, we really haven't. And like the examples that we've seen are like really, really bad.
Like, yeah, dude, look at this dinosaur, and it's like a cockatrice, and it's like, okay, cool.
Or it's just literally a long-necked lion. It's like,
yeah,
dinosaurs didn't have. Oh my god! Dinosaurs didn't have cute little round ears or little button noses. That's not how dinosaurs work.
Oh, Dapper, you didn't know about the external pinna that dinosaurs are known for? It's like, yeah, dude.
You mean that exclusively mammalian trait?
Yeah, they had that. They had the fur, the nice leopard patterns.
I'll be fair. It's actually been found outside of crown mammalia in some mammaliformes.
Okay, that is fair.
But still...
That is, yes.
If you looked at a non-mammalian mammaliform, you would call it a mammal. Like, if you saw it in real life.
Yeah, if you saw it, you would call it a mammal. I mean, and in the same way, Dimetrodon is more closely related to mammals than it is to dinosaurs, but you would look at that thing, and I mean, the fact that it's in every dinosaur play tube that you've ever seen tells you the entire story. It's like, phylogeny isn't that simple.
Although I will say, if you saw one in real life, we don't actually know what its integument was like. It might actually have had fur and whiskers.
Well, I don't think it has the pitting that Gorgonopsids have, though.
It doesn't, but that doesn't completely preclude like simple, shallow whiskers.
So it would, okay. So it would have to be almost like a small down or something.
Yeah.
Because it couldn't be a bristly whisker. Those can anchor pretty well.
Yeah, those anchor pretty deeply, but even on relatively or shallowly anchored hairs can give you sensory information. So like, if a breeze blows by and it just catches your arm hair, you notice that.
Oh, that's true. That is 100% true.
Yep. All right, here we go.
Confirming that man has seen and therefore lived with dinosaurs.
Think about the max shelf life of collagen and carbon. They prove that dinosaurs lived
The max shelf life of carbon is infinity. Like, what are you talking about, Eric? You mean carbon 14?
The max shelf life of carbon and collagen. So, boy, that sure is weird then that we find none of the less robust and shorter lived biomolecules that do have lifespans that are within 1,000 to 10,000 years. Like the kinds that we see in mammoths or cave lions or woolly rhinos, the stuff that was killed in the post-flood ice age that dinosaurs are supposed to have been alive during. And
according to Eric, have survived. Because remember, all of these artifacts he's talking about are supposed to be post-flood ice age. So they survived that.
Why is there soft tissue bias toward certain kinds of biomolecules?
Really weird. And certain kinds of animals.
There? Certain kinds of animals.
I've literally never even heard a creationist attempt to address taphonomy beyond to say, you have to bury fossils rapidly. That's it. That is the extent of their taphonomy.
Well, to do that would be to address the fact that ICR has preserved chitin on their list from like freaking Cambrian arthropods, and it's like you immediately go and track that down because you're like, wow, chitin from the Cambrian
seems a little iffy.
It's like a signal of chitin in the rock. Like it's like a mineralized chitin that is. Yeah, I mean the classic. Like I have trilobites in my room that likely have signals like that.
Robert Adsit says the max shelf life of carbon probably depends on whether the proton decays. Yeah, basically. An atom of carbon isn't going to do anything unless it's a radioisotope. And he didn't say carbon 14, which he just says the shelf life of carbon. No.
Absolutely exhausting. This man is exhausting.
I'm going to take another drink because all of this is crazy and my brain is going to melt soon. So I want to melt it on my terms with gin.
There you go.
All right, here we go. And he is too much. Just like chemist, scientist John Pendleton. He is too much too.
Like someone desperately needs to get these guys in a room with like Fuzz Rana, right? Like someone who Fuzz is the
he wrote
Fuzz is the author of Dinosaur Blood and the Age of the Earth.
Right.
It's like get these folks in a room with Fuzz Rana and let them fire away and ask Fuzz what he thinks about these biomolecules. Why is it that we aren't pulling DNA out of all of these critters?
Yeah, it is curious, isn't it?
How curious? How curious?
Yeah, here we go.
Only thousands of years ago, not millions of years ago. But the evidence doesn't even stop there. If you want to do some more research on this topic, go to creationtoday.org. We have a specially designed search engine that indexes the top apologetic websites and gives you access to more than 400,000 answers to questions on science and the Bible.
Oh, goodness.
And don't forget...
I like how he says, wow. Like, hey, Google will give you even more results. Just saying.
Yeah, dude, this show, Genesis Apologetics, I'm scarred for life. Battleship Apologetics is 40% ads. Even when they're not showing ads, they're talking about ads.
I mean, look, before Eric Hovind, quote unquote, bought his dad's ministry for like $5, which he was the trust, in charge of at the time because his dad was in prison. That whole thing was just a money-making scam. That's what Kent Hovind's ministry still is. Look, this is not a ministry that's here to help people in need. It's a ministry to take people's money because you've duped them into believing stupid things because it confirms their like belief bias.
Well, and their faiths are this is the ironic part of it, right? Their faith, that thing that basically means to believe without seeing, right, is so weak that their faith requires evidence in order to the exact opposite of what faith is. If you have evidence for it, it ceases to be faith, does it not?
I mean, I'm not going to sit and argue over the definition of faith, but that certainly would meet some definitions of faith that are pretty common.
I just find it really strange that they're like, yeah, like it all comes down to, the relationship between you and God, and then they turn around and they're like, yeah, but honestly, if young earth creation wasn't true, I think I'd probably just be an atheist. Like,
surprisingly enough, I've talked to a whole bunch of atheists who went that route.
Yeah, and it's just like they really did just set themselves up for failure here, didn't they?
Oh yeah, definitely. All right,
which really illustrates what you just said, right? That it's not about the people, it's not about the faith, it's about the money.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas's book.
Oh, great
Dinosaurs
book.
and the Bible, and then Guide to Dinosaurs.
I love Brian. What a genius.
That is the
Brian Thomas.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, this book, if it's true, would be attempting to overturn like 150 years worth of science on dinosaurs. Like, look at it. It's like a pamphlet. It's like one step up from like the SFT books.
Oh God, that's the ultimate.
Yeah, that's
the ultimate in dunking.
Yeah, well, I mean,
so mean.
Okay, but look, like I said, it's one step up because I'll bet that Brian Thomas hired an editor who isn't an insane meth head from Tasmania.
Now that is probably true.
Yeah.
That is probably true.
Yeah. Oh, an insane meth head from Tasmania who's now been kicked out of his team of creationists for sending them death threats.
Well, yeah, the flock grows thinner.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot left in that brain trust, is there?
No. Maybe they'll get some replacements in. I don't know.
George Bond, I think, is joining the team. And now we're doing like super Bond. Inside baseball. We should stop.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, this is we're playing a trading card game over here.
Yeah. Okay. Let's play.
By the way, if books are what you're looking for, these are just a few of the books on dinosaurs from the biblical perspective that are available to educate your children. You can find these and more from the Creation store that brought to you by Creation Today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Wow, Eric is really weak.
He
I mean, I know that was for gags, but...
Oh, it was. That's true. I'm taking a drink.
Look at his face and the... That's so smug.
Eric Viertaler for $4.99 says, do you think Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in Spider-Man No Way Home? I have no idea. I think it would be fun to see them. So, but I actually don't know if they're going to be there.
I would love a Spider-Verse that's with all of our live action pals. I think that would just tickle me.
I mean, I would like to see them hired as voice actors in, say, like another Into the Spider-Verse continuity movie.
I would love that as well. It would just be fun to see a nod to that.
Yeah. I mean, look, Into the Spider-Verse was great.
Spider-Verse was awesome. I loved the animation in that movie. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Animation was great. It was a fun story. There was good characterization. There was good character arcs. Basically, it's the best Spider-Man movie that Sony, I think, has made since, like, the first two movies of the original trilogy that they made.
Oh my God, are you not going to include emo Tobey Maguire in that?
Well, I mean, I include
the best
him.
Spider-Man movie? Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, no, I'm not including that in the top 3 of Sony-made Spider-Man movies. Sorry.
Not even with our good friend Sandman versus Venom versus Spider-Man? Like,
yeah, even with that team up.
Come on.
I'm just waiting for Rhino to actually have more than a cameo.
What an incredible and well-directed
Goodness.
film.
You can't even say it with a straight face.
the thing is that movie's just a real ball to me. I really do. If I put on Spider-Man 3, I will smile.
Oh, it's fun for the same kind of reason that The Room is a fun watch.
Oh, God, that's so mean.
I know, and I stand by it.
Really throwing out there's some hate in Dapper tonight.
I love The Room. What are you talking about?
You're tearing me apart, Dapper.
All right, I'm going to hit play.
For joining us. And if you liked what you heard today,
I didn't.
Please share this on your Twitter account, on your Facebook account.
I did share it on my Twitter account. Because I tweeted the link to this.
You walked right into their hands.
Man, she just played her trap card right there.
She did, yeah, right to the Shadow Realm, instant kill.
Ouch. Ouch.
Oh God. Isn't this like, refresh my memory and the memory of everyone in the chat. How many Genesis Apologetics videos are there exactly?
Genesis Apologetics or Battleship Apologetics?
God, Battleship Apologetics. I conflate them because none of them can actually pick an original name. They all have to have Genesis or Apologetics somewhere in the name. Answers in Genesis, Genesis Apologetics, Battleship Apologetics.
Oh, Cedric Saunders for 20 says, "You're tearing me apart, Erika." And then for $5,
hi, Cedric.
Mr. Wilfred says, "Dapper made me watch The Room and I still haven't recovered." Tired face.
That's just sad face.
Look, I'm just going to say this. I try to keep these streams pretty PG-13, but The Room has one of the most amazing sex scenes in all of cinematic history, and I will stand by that. It is an amazing scene.
No, I do believe that. The thing about sex scenes is that they're no fun unless they are hilarious, frankly. It's like, I found, maybe this is a hot take, but there are very few movies where intimate scenes actually aid the plot in any way.
Oh, almost never. It's almost always gratuitous.
Yeah, it's just, and that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with them or anything. I just feel like when those scenes come on is when I go up and refill my popcorn, because I'm just like, whatever.
Right. Yeah, no, I generally feel the same way. If they almost never progress the plot, and they're like, look, it's the internet. If I really wanted to watch,
that's the point. You said it, but I was thinking the same thing. It's like, if you actually wanted to find something, you would be able to find something of probably higher quality. So
right. So yeah, that's. However, I will say this. Like I said, the Room contains the most amazing sex scene in cinematic history. Not the hottest, not the most plot relevant, just the most amazing. So go watch The Room. Get a group of friends. Don't watch it alone. It's no fun alone. Get a group of friends. Hopefully, at least some of you haven't seen it, and go watch The Room. That is a 100% Dapper Dinosaur endorsement of The Room. Which means, by the way, hey, Greg Ostero or someone, if you want to sponsor me, I will totally advertise for Best Friends.
Oh, there you go.
Because I also watch
Dapper,
Best Friends.
It's about 8 on my end, so you want to refill drinks?
Let's do a drink refresh, and the next video I think is almost ready to go. And by the way, guys, it was supposed to premiere last week, but this is going to be the first view of my new intermission that isn't just like what is it, a Power Rangers thing or something that's going to get me copyright claimed. So yeah, because my original one ended up getting me some copyright claims. Yeah, I got copyright. Well, I downloaded some music that I was assured was CC0. Well, then it got copyright claimed. So I was like, well, okay, I'll do something else, but I wasn't sure what to do, and it's still not very good. But, yeah, it wasn't copyright claimed because it was just gameplay footage of Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. So now I have a custom one, and it's kind of boring, but still, I like it. So we're gonna switch to it now. All right, everybody, we are back. So, sorry about that. That was actually a little bit of an extra long intermission because I was setting up this video. It actually only just finished downloading while we were on intermission. So, and then there was a little bit of technical difficulties with getting it to actually broadcast to Erika, so we had to do some little...
We are ready now.
Yes, we are finally ready. So sorry about that extra long intermission. But hey, I made the intermission video longer than I expected intermissions to go for that reason, just in case.
Okay, yeah.
So I hope you liked the new intermission video. Obviously, it's the song that I use as my intro and outro song, which was recorded actually at a professional recording studio by Benthoven and his then band. So this is a professional level mix that we got going here for that. And also, of course, it's a Klingon clock that I animated using just straight math to have all three hands run at exactly the right speed. So you can tell exactly how long the stream has been based on how far past midnight the clock goes. Or sorry, the intermission has been. All right, so this is a new video. This is Eric Hovind on the Age of the Earth. And Erika, unless you have anything for us, I'm just going to dive right in.
The only thing I have to say is that our guest here, not Eric, the guy who's hosting this, looks exactly like a perfect overlay of every youth pastor that has ever existed.
I will be honest, my youth pastor had less of a beard, but other than that, yeah. The backwards cap.
Yeah, we're dealing with averages here, though.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah. And Eric also is looking a little youth pastory, too.
He is. He's got the vibe, especially with that the driftwood rustic barn look in the background.
Look, from an aesthetic standpoint, I actually kind of like that look.
No, I don't mind it either. I kind of feel like Eric is trying to like hijack modern aesthetic in general. Like I half expect him to show up next time with like a vaporwave background.
All right. Well, this is a recent one. This is from 2 weeks ago, as of the time of me recording and or streaming this right now. So we've been looking at stuff that's years old. This is like right now, Eric. So here we go. Ooh, nice. Oh, and hold on. Dr. Osiris says, my Klingon hole is terrible. Look, dude, you can always improve. There's Facebook groups, there's Duolingo, there's the Klingon Language Institute. If you're working on Klingon, I mean, I have places you can go to learn pretty well. So let me know. But here we go.
Well, Ryan, it's great to be on Bible Dingers. I got to be honest, I've never been on a show with such a unique title. Other than some of the...
That's true. It's way more authentic, not authentic, but like original than Battleship Apologetics. So I'll take a drink.
Bible Dingers?
Mm-hmm. You weren't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it.
No, I've got to admit, I love it. I actually love it.
Yeah.
Big fan.
All right.
Atheist shows. Some of the atheist shows get pretty creative with the way they describe themselves.
Did Eric just diss himself and Christian shows generally?
They get the atheist shows. It's always got to be a contest with poor Eric.
But here's the thing. He just admitted that the atheists are doing better on the front of naming their shows.
Yeah, he does not seem happy about that.
All right. I mean, look, props to Eric for acknowledging that his apparent opponents are doing something well that he isn't. So, you know, when you admit your own fault and praise your enemy, I give you props for that.
I mean, it is very original. I mean, they might as well have come up here and been like, this is the biggest Bible show. It's like, all right, like...
Also, can I just... Love it. This is purely a me thing. I just hate how much barrel distortion is on our host's camera and how little is on Eric's camera.
Yeah, I don't love that either.
And it's just way too contrasting. And I recognize that there's no way they were going to coordinate well enough to get like similar barrel distortions. But still, it bugs me just a little bit. And no shade on Ryan here. Just, it's a me thing. Here we go.
I'm the president of Creation Today. It's a ministry that started, actually, I kind of grew up in apologetics under my dad. He would travel and speak all over the world.
Okay, this is my prediction. I'm going to predict that Eric is not going to mention that he sold his dad's ministry to himself for a ridiculously tiny sum, which included down to the pens that were owned by his dad's ministry. And that when his dad came back, everything he had owned had been
the
transferred.
Pettiest thing I've ever heard.
I know.
Oh, that's so petty.
I'll bet Eric doesn't mention that at all.
Yeah, I think that's a fair. I think that's a fair bet.
Okay, here we go.
And so I was heavily invested in apologetics. At 18, I thought, do I only believe this stuff because this is all I've been taught, and kind of went on my own journey. Then went off to college.
That's a conversation didn't happen with yourself. I'm taking a drink.
I'm gonna drink too.
College, and when I got done, I was fully committed. This is the truth. I'm thankful that I was raised in the right worldview. So many people aren't raised in the right worldview. I was raised in the right worldview, and the science and the scripture and all that just confirms what the Bible says. And I decided, man, why don't...
The right worldview? That is so myopic. Like, yeah, dude, I'm so glad I got raised in the right worldview. I'm still psyched that, unlike the majority of people that he is hoping is watching this, that just Eric, was chosen to be raised in the right worldview. What a
right.
Ding dong.
Wait, I just realized something. We're about halfway to my next single stream funding goal. So if we can just a little bit over double the chat super chats now, I'm gonna have a video where I'm animated, but with stage 2 proto feathers instead of stage 1, because I'm going up through the stages of proto feather.
Ooh, that is very nice.
If you guys want to see me with stage 2 proto feathers, super chat. And also, don't feel like you have to, because you guys are already very generous. It's just a fun little thing that if we get, a particularly, I'll say lucrative, I'm gonna go Ferengi here. If we get a very lucrative live stream, we'll toss them stage 2 proto feathers. The Hubons like the proto feathers.
They love the proto feathers. They love the proto feathers.
It's true. And they clothe their females. Okay.
There it is.
That's enough Ferengi for one show. Now let me get back to my...
Not enough.
Well, maybe I should do a stream where the whole time I'm just a Ferengi.
Oh my god.
Hey, it would be a break from the Klingon.
It would be a break from the Klingon, but I'm not sure if it's a break I can physically handle.
Maybe Jackson can take it.
Yeah, Jackson can have that episode.
All right, here we go.
When I start traveling and doing the same thing and giving people a proper understanding, bringing science and scripture together to understand this. And then 2006, started Creation Today, the ministry that we are now, and produced the Creation Today show, the Genesis movie.
Yeah, he skipped over that entire thing where he sold himself his dad's ministry for nothing. I'm taking a drink.
Yeah, and bro, what? What exactly do you mean? Bringing science and scripture together? What is your training, Eric? Why is it that only these dudes who are either high school education or rocking a business degree are the only ones who are fighting for science and creationism? Isn't that so strange? How weird.
Yeah. Carrie Bronson says, what is Eric wearing? It looks like a polo with a gray tee and a baseball cap. If you're asking... and a lapel mic. I don't know if you're looking for anything more specific than that. Sorry.
Creation Network, and anything I can do to make God great again and to make creation cool.
Did he just say make God great again?
And he was getting ready to say make creation cool again. Bitch, when?
I'm taking it. Look, I'm just going to take a drink for trying to adopt a Trump campaign slogan into a weird religious make God great again, as if assuming God is real, you could affect his greatness in any way.
Yeah, as if God requires Eric Hovind.
There's God up in heaven. He's like, thank me for Eric Hovind. My goodness.
God.
Myself.
Eric hadn't been here for this. Yeah, if Eric hadn't been here for this, it wouldn't have gone off without a hitch. Hitches would have happened.
Oh man.
It's too much.
That's a whole lot of self-importance, I guess. Good
God,
thing
it's
Eric
just
exists.
Yeah, oh my God. I do think that he probably walked himself into that kind of opinion of himself. I've realized I've gotten very jaded when it comes to creationists.
No.
But it's, golly, it's like you just can't catch a freaking break with some of these guys.
I remember when we first met, and you were so naive about the Creationists, and I was like, no, they're worse than you think. They're not just all honestly mistaken sweethearts who you just need to be gently corrected.
Yeah.
Look, I had that phase too. I just went through it before you did.
I think anybody who gets into this inevitably has to go through that phase because it sucks. No one wants to think that people are being intentionally deceptive. That's horrible.
Yeah.
You want to think that it's an honest mistake. And I really do too. I just don't think it is anymore.
Spoiler alerts for the distant future of the Dapper Dino channel. I finished just today my first in a series of videos on Andrew Snelling, and I call him a straight up call him a liar like 3 or 4 times in that one video.
Andrew Snelling is unfortunately a bit of a huckster.
Yeah.
Like I actually feel comfortable saying that because especially when the folks who know better,
yeah,
it's tough to make excuses for them.
Oh, I agree. All right, but we're gonna go on with some more Eric.
Again, that's what I'm all about.
And that's why you're on Bible Dingers today, right?
This is the big break, man. I've been waiting because if you want to make creation cool, you got to do it with some really cool guys. So Ryan,
say that was a joke.
You are the one. You are my segue into making creation cool again. Thank you.
That's it, man. That's it. All right. So the first question I want to ask you.
That is singularly, I think, the cringiest individual interaction.
Yeah, my spine is dangerously close to just cringing entirely out of my body at this point. It's gonna rip right out of my ventral or dorsal side.
You can say make creationism cool again exactly one time.
Right. First of all, it wasn't really cool ever.
No, it is inaccurate and already bad and cringy. It's just like, and also it's ripped from someone else. So it's like, man,
yeah, but
you can have one of those. You can't have two.
Yeah, of course, it's ripped from like the least Christian icon the evangelicals have ever had.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But
I mean, they would have been better off picking like the David Miscavige. It's like pretty equivalent, honestly.
Oof. Yeah, now you're going to get me a cease and desist from the Church of Scientology. You know that, right?
Oh, sorry, Scientology. I praise Xenu?
No. Xenu's a bad guy. Also, we're not supposed to know about him, because if we know about Xenu,
crap.
We're going to die of pneumonia.
Xenu. Oh my god, I'm making it worse.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing. According to Scientology, if you even know about Xenu and you're not ready for it through the Scientology training, you're going to die of pneumonia.
Wait, I was kidding. I was joking.
So
this was just a prank.
According to YouTube, there's 55 people watching here who are now all in danger of death from pneumonia because of you.
This was only a prank. It was just a prank, bro.
All right, here we go.
Is potentially going to take 7 to 8 hours to answer.
Okay.
And I really just wanted to see. Yeah, right. I really just wanted to see if you could sort of give me.
Oh, sorry. Did you have him?
No, I just said, oh God, and I was exasperated.
David DB number says, praise Tom Cruise. Yeah, okay. There you go.
And his holy monotooth.
And his ambiguous stature in his films, because they're always putting him on boxes and things.
He is on boxes a lot.
Yep.
That man knows his way around a step stool.
Oh, it's sad, but it's true.
View biblically of the history of the universe.
Oh, good.
And just sort of from creation to now, what are some of the major milestones along with the years that they occurred?
Okay. This answer that I'm going to give, obviously, I'm going to come from a biblical perspective. So the way you think about the history of the universe really has to do with your worldview. What do you think happened to start everything? So I'm going to give you the biblical narrative, so to speak, of the history of the universe. I don't put an exact date on creation. Some people have done that. Matter of fact, a lot of people grew up I don't know how old your generation is listening to this really cool podcast, but if you got any...
Stop trying to be hip with the kids, Eric. I'm taking a drink because, oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's also like a little bit behind. Eric's about to be like, yeah, dude, it would be so epic and so beast mode if you would indulge young Earth creationism again.
Like
Give him 20 years and he'll be throwing based around like it's candy.
This really is just the epitome of the "hello fellow kids" meme. Like, just stop, Eric. You could kind of do it 10, 15 years ago, but that ship has sailed. That battleship has sailed.
That battleship has sailed, and he's really rocking like the egg essentials look here. If you catch my drift.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna hit play, and hopefully this gets slightly less cringy. Because, by the way, I didn't actually watch this beforehand. It just had a topic that wasn't just "what does the Bible say?" Of course, that's what we're getting right now, but I'm hoping it goes out of that.
There's only one way to go. We can only get better from here, surely.
I think you just cursed us to get worse. Okay, here we go.
Anybody out there over 40 or 50, they'll remember the old Scofield Reference Bible, where he put an exact date on creation. I mean, he did the genealogies in here and everything, and he went, God created Adam October 23rd, 4004 BC at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I mean, okay, I'm going to drink for Eric getting something right. That is something that people have done, and he is also right that is a silly thing that you really can't get from the Bible. It's ridiculous. So good job, Eric, for calling that out.
I do like how bold it is, though. Like, people really did have nothing better to do but sit around and be like, I think October 24th. Like, oh, okay.
Oh, that means we missed the universe's birthday.
Oh, not again.
We're gonna have to mark it on our calendars for 2022 and have a happy birthday universe party on October 24th.
Happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday, young universe.
Let's see. Carrie Bronson for $5 says, as a rule of thumb, the more frequently you call something you do cool, the harder you are lying. It's true. Look, cool is something you shouldn't have to tell people that you are. If you have to tell people you're cool, you're probably not.
I think there is a level of acceptable irony by which to wield cool as a self-compliment. But you got to be pretty confident.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you got to be willing and ready to go down with the ship. And if you're going to call yourself cool, then you got to be willing to be lame.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, you have to make it so ironic that it comes back on itself and becomes hipster cool.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, which is not what Eric is doing here.
No, that is not what he is doing. He is far too genuine.
Okay, here we go.
I don't think you can get that close from Scripture. We know that Adam was made in the afternoon because it was just before Eve. It tells us that
I'll take
right
2
there
drinks
in
for a
Genesis.
joke that didn't land.
But we don't really have an exact date, despite all the numbers that are given to us in the Bible.
Oh, wait, Vesta Freya has a good point. So what time zone? So
yeah, for real.
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon GMT, PST. Is it like Hawaii time? I don't know.
We're talking CST, but during DST.
Ooh, because DST hadn't been invented yet.
Exactly.
Okay. Is God anti-DST? Because I hope so.
Yes, 100%. Who isn't?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Look, actually, we started the stream at a different time than normal for most people, specifically because I live in a place that doesn't do DST.
What must it be like to live in heaven?
Well, it's currently 71 degrees of freedom outside.
Yeah, I cannot relate. I'm sitting in the darkness, deep in the dark.
Yeah. So
swallowed by the dark.
I mean, hey, next time there's a Grand Canyon trip, come along.
No, I know. I really wanted to. Okay, let's say.
All right, here we go.
Let's let him go.
I'm thankful that the one who created the universe actually wrote down what happened.
No, okay, hold on. I'm taking a drink.
What? His cosmic pen?
Eric, you're not a Muslim. Christianity doesn't hold that the Bible was directly written by God. It's supposed to be that God inspired various human authors to write the Bible. So, even if you're right, God didn't come down out of the clouds, according to mainstream Christianity, and write or even dictate the Bible. That's Islam and the Quran.
Well, Dapper, you have to understand it's a real Schrodinger's authorship here, right? Because when it's super convenient, these guys are very happy to be like, well, it's basically like God took out a cosmic pen and wrote it himself. But other times, when things are more allegorical or potentially subject to mistake, well, it's the word of humans. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, that is convenient. Of course, what you could do is have a consistent view of the inspiration of Scripture. That is a thing that some Christians do.
That's cheating. You can't do that.
Yes.
Man's word, God's word, Dapper. Man's word or God's word.
I forgot. Having a consistent standard by which you judge things is definitely cheating. Double standards whenever convenient.
Not allowed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's aggressively not allowed.
Oh man, I'm not gonna make it through this, am I? Here we go.
Well,
so there wouldn't be any confusion about the history of the universe. I mean, if he's
Eric, okay. Oh my goodness, I'm taking another drink. This is going terribly for me right now.
Oh.
Okay, Eric. Even with people who take the Bible seriously as like a history book for the history of the universe, there has been disagreement, serious disagreement about what that means. Like, are you really going to sit here and tell me that like Fuzz Rana and like, you know, the whole group there was Reasons to Believe, that they just actually don't care about what the Bible says? Like,
that's the thing though. Like, maybe not Eric, but I certainly think that there are young Earth creationists out there who would be very comfortable saying out of one mouth that Fuzz Rana just doesn't care. Or that he's deceived and doesn't care enough to keep himself from being deceived or something.
I mean, maybe, but like, look, I haven't had extensive interaction with anyone from Reasons to Believe, but I have had interactions with them, and they do not come across to me as people who are not serious about their Christianity and their view of the Bible.
They're actually like savagely robust when they are dunking on young Earth creationism. It's very, very good work.
Yeah, and when they talk about the Bible per se, they're not just, you know, like, you know, we just kind of ignore the text in order to believe what we want to. Like, that's never what they're going through actual serious attempts to, you know, interpret the text in ways that they think are, you know, reasonable and plausible from the actual languages and whatnot. And like,
I'm with you.
You can't just pretend that it's this interpretation here and it is the only reasonable interpretation. So even if it's true that God came down out of heaven, which generally speaking is not the mainstream Christian belief, and etched in some stone or clay tablet somewhere exactly what you're reading in Genesis 1, even then, it still results in disagreements, which I think is roughly what we mean by confusion in this case.
Well, and here's the thing about that too that's just absolutely very fascinating kind of what's the word I'm looking for? It's very dissonant. It's the fact that the old Earth creationists like Fuzz will boldly just be like, yeah, dude, I don't really know. Like, you'll be like, hey, so, okay, you believe in what? Progressive creation? So what does that look like exactly? They'll be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. Like,
yeah. Which is,
we're working on it. Or,
I mean, at least it's
which
honest.
Is honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would take that every single day before, oh, well, you see, and then it's just some absolutely bullshit nonsense.
Just pretending that the human genome supports like an out of Middle East origin for humanity. Just pretending.
Yeah, no, it's straight up just asserting and being like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, this is not a fight you're picking with me, pal. Like, it's not you versus me. It's you versus the entire consensus of modern people who have degrees in the field.
Right. Which, by the way, reminds me, Jungle Jargon is a young Earth creationist who basically has no audience on YouTube. But he showed up in my comments one day saying like, "Oh, hey, I'm like, how come haven't responded to my most recent video about like human Y chromosome origin in like the Middle East or something?" I'm like, I don't follow your channel, man. Like, what do you want from me? Like, a few times people have dropped into my comments and just assumed way too much about what I spend my time on. So, just a pro tip for everyone out there. Do not assume that I know what you're talking about. Ask. Because unless I've already covered it myself, there's a chance I don't know.
Also, there's a very large portion of the folks who are anti-conventional science who think that all of us spend all our time like doing our YouTube, which would be nice. I would love if I had that kind of time, but I do not. So it's like,
yeah,
we all have other stuff going on. So
yep, yeah. So yeah, just don't make too many assumptions. Actually, people have also assumed that I spend way more time watching atheist content. So here's a tip for everyone out there. I basically watch literally zero content about atheism. I just don't care. I don't watch the Atheist Experience. I don't watch... There are content creators who I like, who then have like episodes of whatever that are just about like, oh, let's argue about God. I don't watch those episodes. If it doesn't have like a scientific topic, I'm probably not watching it. And even if it does, if it's just how that confirms atheism, I'm also not watching it. So, yeah.
I tend to fall in the same group. Like that's people are entitled to have whatever kind of thoughts they want to. I am the stalwart agnostic, so it's like I have no idea.
I'm a stalwart
I'm here
undisclosed.
for the science. Yeah, I'm here for the science. I like the science. I like to talk about the science. And I do have a vitriolic hatred for pseudoscience, of which there is some overlap with things that folks who make atheist content also dislike. So.
True. All right, let's hit play. We'll get more Eric in here.
Powerful enough to create the heavens and the earth? He ought to be powerful enough to write it down and tell us how he did it. By the way, the written word, the best way to communicate, the most clear way, the way we do legalese today, when you sign contracts, you write it down and you sign it.
Which still causes confusion and disputes, so I'm going to take a drink for Eric just not making this case.
God, this is like pinhead logic. You know, like, we do X today, therefore X applies universally, and it's in reference to something cultural. Like, I'm pretty sure even in the creationist context, humans haven't always been able to write, which is kind of weird.
That's unclear, right? So, like, Ken Ham has, as I'm sure you saw, right? Like, he has Noah with a library.
Yeah, he does have he's Noah with a library, but at the same time, I don't think he thinks Adam and Eve could write.
See, I don't know. I've never heard him address that specifically.
Well, that's getting too deep into it for him. He can take it to about a 4 out of 100. That's at least a 10.
Okay. All right, here we go.
And that's exactly what we have, is we have a written word, a written testimony about what actually happened. So he even recorded for us about how long ago all this happened, and we've got that through the timeline of events in the Bible. We've got that through the genealogies that were in the Bible.
I'm just going to say, there is no timeline in the Bible. You literally have to go by the genealogies if you want to interpret it literally and come up with a timeline. Like, okay, guys, there is no book of charts and figures in the Bible that has a timeline in it. Like, that's not a thing.
Also, using the patriarchs is just a notoriously inconsistent way to try to glean the origin of humans, right? Yeah. The origin of the world. Because it's really, really just theologically not coherent.
Yeah, actually,
Abraham dies when he's like 100, and he's described as dying like as a good old man full of years, and like his direct predecessor lived to be like 500 or something. It's very clear that there's something going on there.
There are weird things.
Babylonian kings list, or Sumerian kings list.
If you take all of this literally, like you end up having like some patriarchs dying before the age that they're listed as dying in the in like the actual genealogy. If you take the narrative like time span literally, and like it creates really weird, like, okay, so like Abraham was survived by like, I think one of like Noah's sons, and that never comes up. And like there's all sorts of weird stuff that happens if you take both the narrative literally and the genealogical age is listed literally. So clearly, I think Actually, I'm not even sure that the narrative was supposed to be taken super literally, but clearly the genealogical ages weren't, because they're not internally consistent with the narrative. Oh, and hi, Anne Gladstone. I just gotta say, Anne Gladstone used my favorite channel emoji. It's the little green tetrapod with a top hat.
Aw, baby.
I know, it's adorable. All right, we got to get more Eric in, because we've only covered 4 minutes 21 seconds of this.
He has not said anything.
And yet we've said so much.
I know. Unfortunately.
Well, that's what people are here for.
Well, that's true.
We've got that New Testament. Matthew goes back to how Jesus Christ was the actual descendant of Adam, how Jesus is the last Adam. So really starts with the creation of the universe.
He did. I'll take a drink.
I don't, like I said, put an exact time on it, but somewhere around 6,000 years ago. I don't mind if it's a little more. Hard for that to be any less than that. But 6,000 to 7,000 years ago, potentially, for the creation of the world. And that's again from different genealogies, and we can talk about that later if you want to. But Genesis chapter 5, Genesis chapter 10, the dates are all given there. From creation, the next...
No, the dates aren't given there. You have to extrapolate them from genealogies. I'm going to take a drink again, because that's just a lie. You have to do
that's like being given a list of medieval kings and saying that you can extrapolate the exact date that these individuals lived. It's no, you can find out with relation to one another when they lived.
Yeah, that's
pretty much it. Without giving a reference point.
Right. So it's just dishonest. All right, I'm gonna hit go, because if I keep harping on how dishonest that is, I'm actually just gonna get upset, and I don't want to do that this late into the stream.
Big event is the flood. So Genesis chapter 7, 8, 9, we hear about the flood that happened that destroyed the whole world. From the flood, we go to Babel, the Tower of Babel, where, man, these people, after the flood, they were once again getting to the point where they were destroying the very reason God had created man to worship and serve him and to glorify him. So God has to confuse the languages. God selects one special group of people to be his chosen people. That's where you get Israel and you get Abraham. And from Abraham, we...
Okay, real quick. At some point, I got to see what actual literature is out there from creationists about the Tower of Babel. Because, I'm pretty sure their linguistics is going to be just as good as their paleontology or, anthropology. So...
Well, Dapper, you're going to have to be the one to take the trip to the Tower of Babel exhibit once it shows up at the Ark encounter, because that's going to be all linguistics and that's all you. So you can take the hit on that one.
All right, I'll tell you what. I will start a fundraiser when and if that thing becomes real, and if we can get enough to actually fund a trip out there, then I will go to the Tower of Babel thing, and this is gonna be miserable, and I will try to assess the linguistics.
Listen, no, I'm telling you, it really is something else. It is something to behold. That entire series.
So you're saying that the Creation Museum and Ark Encounter are the room of museums?
No, because they are fun bad. I will say that. But it's if the room spurred a movement of people who believed that Tommy Wiseau was the actual first man who ever lived. That would be the equivalent there. It's just it's funny until you see the implication.
Well, you remember in an earlier idea for the room, the character of Johnny was going to be a vampire.
If only that had made it into the final cut.
I know, right? Okay. So here we go.
See through Scripture, it's recording for us what actually happened. I mean, it tells us some pretty raunchy stuff that took place in the Bible. It's not saying to go do all that, but it's being very, detailed in many of the things that it records. But it tells us of the history of the children of Israel, the people of Israel, to bring about
It's not telling us modern people to do all that. Is it not recounting? group of people being told to do all that?
Well, when
Am
he
I
says,
incorrect in that?
When he says raunchy things, I'm assuming he's meaning sex stuff.
Oh, I was assuming like pillaging and genociding.
Well, see, I wouldn't use. I don't think he would use the word raunchy to refer to that, because raunchy basically means sex stuff.
Well, do you think he's talking about? No, I know. I'm just thinking that I'm actually thinking that Eric doesn't know what raunchy means.
Oh, well, that is a possibility. I don't know,
because how much sex stuff actually happens in the Old Testament that could be described explicitly as raunchy.
I mean, there's the bit about like emissions like donkeys.
Yeah, there's the donkey stuff. There's the lot stuff.
Yeah.
There's I'm sure there are some non-consensual stuff going on, but
actually, there's like
I don't know,
an attempted genocide as a result of some non-consensual stuff.
And there are many successful genocides, right? But not really. They're successful narratively, but then like the same people show up like 40 years later. You know?
Right. Yeah, they're like
it's really it's
ambiguously successful genocides.
It's like wipe, and you'll have to forgive me because I don't know exactly who this occurred to and when, but to kind of paraphrase it would be like wipe the Canaanites from the face of the earth, and it's like, and so they did that. And then it's like 40 years later, it's like, oh, the Canaanites are causing trouble again. And it's like, well, I thought you got rid of them. They're back? How?
Yeah,
is it like a blood moon in Breath of the Wild? They come back after a certain time and they're just good again? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not entirely clear from the narrative how that works. But I will say this. I do think there's a fair bit of raunchiness in the narrative of the Old Testament.
I mean, you're probably right. Maybe I'm just failing to remember it. I mean, the annoying thing is that the progressive Christians, and by progressive, of course, I mean progressive in relation to young earth creationists. So academic Christians can look into the Old Testament and be like, yeah, there sure was a lot of humans doing human stuff back then. Like,
yeah.
And they kind of like relate that and kind of understand that and are able to parse that with the nature of what they perceive God to be. And it's like, I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
It's just like the young creationists won't take everything at face value. So you've got some splaining to do with all the stuff that goes on in the OT.
All right. You ready for a little bit more, Eric?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Promised Messiah, Jesus Christ. So 2,000 years ago, Christ was here. So about 6,000 years ago, you had creation.
Goop23 for $2 says, somehow Palpatine returned. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what happened.
It's so
Every
true.
time the Canaanites pop back up, and the Israelites are like, what is this? Some kind of dark Sith science? It's like Canaanite genetics.
Did the Canaanites have tubes full of Snokes?
Just a whole lot of Snokes, a whole lot of Goliath.
Oh, okay. Their tubes were full of Goliaths. That makes sense. Yeah. I'm sorry, everybody. I am not a fan of the sequel trilogy. If that's your big thing, then have fun. But like, that's not me. I'm not about that.
I actually, I've seen all the memes, but I actually have not seen. I saw 7 and 8.
Me too.
I thought 7 was fine. It was pretty much the reason I thought it was fine is because it was just a rehash of A New Hope, and it's like, and I like A New Hope.
A New Hope is a good movie,
7.
Right? Exactly. You remade that movie, so it's a good movie.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, yeah, whatever, and like, what is it? Flatter or mimicry is the most sincere form of flattery. So it's like, yeah, as long as we all acknowledge that this wasn't an original piece entirely, like I'm cool with that. I know 8 is contentious. I had fun. But I'm also not a big Star Wars head, so it's like I understand why I can see all of the reasons why people didn't like it, and I'm also like, yeah, that's all very valid.
Look,
but space stuff happened, and so I don't mind. But then I just didn't go see 3 because everyone was talking about it, and I was like, this doesn't seem like it's worth my money.
Episode 8, I came out of the theater realizing I don't care about any of this anymore, and I'm just not going to see the next one.
Yeah.
It killed my actual emotional investment in the entire storyline of Star Wars.
I just didn't. I really just couldn't be bothered. Like, I might have gone to if everybody had been like, yeah, 9 was really good, then I might have gone to go see it. But everyone was like, it was kind of shit, and I was like,
yeah,
I don't really care enough.
All right,
I really don't.
we're
I
now
was pretty
super
apathetic
delaying.
about 8. I didn't think. I know a lot of people think it sucks.
Okay, but Erika, we're super delaying.
No, I know. Let's go.
Okay. Oh, we're not finishing this video today.
6,000 to 7,000 years ago. 4,400 years ago, you had flood. Then you had Abraham about 4,000 or so years ago. Then you have Jesus Christ here 2,000 years ago. And now for the last 2,000 years, the church age. And depending on your eschatology, actually doesn't depend on your eschatology. At some point, the church age is going to be done. And
actually, it does depend on your eschatology. I'm going to take a drink for Eric, just not knowing about the eschatology of various Christian groups. Because there are, in fact, Christian groups who think that the second coming is less of a literal Jesus comes back from the sky and more of a, Christianity goes on to reform society into a just and loving and sort of utopian thing, and that essentially is the reign of Christ. Now, it's not, as far as I know, the mainstream view of I don't even know of any churches where it's definitely the mainstream view, but it's not like an unheard of view in Christian eschatology. So yeah, take a drink for Eric not knowing enough about his own religion.
I would be pretty chill with that. If that was the infinite goal, I would be like this is pretty dope.
Yeah,
like, I'm down.
Yeah, I mean,
down with the sickness on that.
An essential a utopian society of love and kindness and taking care of the poor and the sick and whatnot. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm down. I like it.
No, exactly. Yeah, just compassion, treating people like we want to be treated. Like I'm totally down with that.
Yep. Actually, that reminds me. I saw a news article today about a church service that lasted for something crazy like 120 days or something, and inside was a Pakistani immigrant family to Sweden, because apparently in Sweden the police are barred from interrupting religious services, and they were going to be deported.
So they were like protecting them. Yeah, right. It was like asylum.
Yeah, so they basically had them in the church, and the police weren't allowed to come in and interrupt, and they just had like over 1,000 priests and pastors participated for like just such a long time, and it was a constant service. They would take turns.
That's like some March on Birmingham shit, right? Yeah. Where it's like a huge portion of the folks who marched on Birmingham were pastors. It was like that's like gangster Christianity, where they're like, we're here to protect people who can't protect themselves.
Right. Churches do more of that. What happens? Less of this.
Yeah. Let's do more of that. Like.
Yeah,
that's badass, and I can get behind that for sure. It's like,
absolutely,
shoot, more power to you. Love it.
All right, here we go.
Christ will rule and reign, and looking forward to that. So that's kind of an overview of what the Bible says happened in the history of the universe. Now, again, that's from a biblical worldview. So,
no, it's from your biblical worldview, Eric. I'm not going to say it's not a biblical worldview, but it's not the biblical worldview. Right? Like, definite versus indefinite here.
Yeah, I mean, it's even then, like, it's a biblical worldview in the same way that there's like a bunch of different Wattpad fanfics of like supernatural. Like, it's so fringe and not even considered a canon in a fandom terms, but like theologically sound, legitimate terms. As far as general Christianity goes, like I can count on one hand the number of non-Southern relatives of mine who, people in general who I've talked to who are Christian and who are young earthers.
Now, I'll say this. I grew up in New England in a young earth church, so they're out there.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a young earth middle school, so I guess I mean now, who I know now, which is you. But have I met in my day? Plenty. That's fair enough.
Okay. Robert Adson says, but that's not Christian, that's communist. So actually, there is some tension there. One of the things about most Christian ideas of charity is that it's not something that you're imposing on other people, whereas communism tends to be. Like, you don't get to, like, be the lone capitalist in the communist society. Whereas, like if you look at things like the Acts of the Apostles, where like the Christians are like holding property in common and, you know, selling their property to give it to the poor, they're not like trying to get non-Christians to do that, except by trying to convince them that Christianity is true. So there is a way in which the idea of consent is involved there. And I'm actually going to say that when it comes to communism versus Christianity, Christianity actually gets the consent right in terms of like collective ownership and charity. And communism does so to a much lesser degree.
I actually didn't know that. I'd not thought of that distinction before.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty big distinction to me because I'm a big fan of consent. It's my biggest problem with communism is that people who don't consent to communism don't tend to fare too well in communist regimes.
Cup23 says both the churches I attended stand AIG. Hey, I never want to hear Stan and AIG in the same sentence.
That's fair.
Ever again, for as long as I live.
That's fair. You know, by the way,
that physically hurt my white matter.
Gup23 is someone I did a Leaving Earth Creationism with.
Oh, sick! Is there Avatar Frank Grimes from The Simpsons?
I don't know. It's too small for me to see, so I'm not sure.
Like Frank Grimes.
All right, I'm gonna hit play though, and this will probably be our last segment.
Yeah, let's do it.
So
Power through.
You'll notice I'm not going back millions or billions of years. I'm not going back and saying, you know, there was a Big Bang. That's a totally separate worldview to say that maybe the Earth and the universe is 13.8 billion years old and maybe the Earth formed 4.6 billion years ago. So two totally different worldviews, the Bible versus what a lot of people believe today. And I'll throw in here, because you said we could go for 7 to 8 hours, so I'll just keep on going. No, let me throw in here, Ryan, that here's the big deceit that's taken place, huge deceit that's been taking place around the world. A lot of people are led to believe now that science contradicts the Bible and science confirms the secular worldview of millions or billions of years.
Oh. Okay, I'm going to take a drink. I'm going to address a quick thing from the chat, and then I'm going to talk about this.
That's just too much.
Okay, so Venerable says, depends on your definition of communism. Do you mean the state-ruled communist country or the abstract idea Marx made up of a stateless class of society? So here's the thing. There is no actual way to get to Marx's imaginary stateless class of society that doesn't involve horrific oppression, and so I don't care about it. Right? So, yeah. I'd never talk about it because it's nonsense. It's not actually less nonsense than the communists who came before him, who thought that when the socialist utopia was achieved, the seas would turn to lemonade, chickens would throw themselves into your oven, and that lions would be rideable. It doesn't sound as obviously ridiculous, but it actually is. So I just don't care about it.
Be honest, though.
Yeah, be honest.
Lions are rideable.
It would be dope. Like the previous ideas of like the continental socialist philosophers, it would be fun to live in a world where the ocean is made of lemonade. Not for the fish, because I presume that would kill all of them.
Well, I'm imagining in a perfect world, they would be lemonade adapted.
Oh, okay, yeah, because once we get the utopia where there's common ownership and cooperation, it's not less ridiculous to think that the fish become lemonade adapted than it is to think that the seas become lemonade in the first place. Lemonade? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. And now I've lost my entire train of thought with Eric. What was he talking about?
He was talking about the age of the Earth and how science doesn't.
Oh, right.
You've been falsely led to believe it. It's like, okay, well, someone let the oil and gas industry know.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? You can think that science doesn't contradict the Bible, and also think that modern science is correct. That's one thing. And science absolutely contradicts Eric's version of the Bible.
It's harsh, but I'm telling you, like, we all know this quite well by now. There is no way to accept any kind of conventional science and also be a young Earth creationist. You will run into a pothole at any and every turn.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think actually here's where we're going to start running, wrapping things up. So, Erika, what do you have coming up on your channel? I know you got something because I've seen a preview.
Yeah, I got some triple premieres going on. This next Wednesday, as in tomorrow, we're talking about Homobodoensis. I'm very pleased for you guys to hear about that, but also Homobodoensis, that entire conversation is exhausting. That you should show up. We're going to talk about this quote unquote new hominin, and we're going to see what actually it boils down to. Next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about something that I stumbled across that is the most ironic thing that I've ever seen, in which a creationist argues fervently for evolution without even knowing it.
I saw that too.
Yeah, and it's a creationist we all know. And then at the Wednesday after that, we start Contested Bones, which is exciting. I'm very excited to start Contested Bones. I've already annotated maybe a third of the way in. I've read the book before, but Contested Bones is it's a book that's meant to debunk human evolution, written by two creationists. And Dapper, would you like to guess how many of the two creationists are paleoanthropologists or paleoanthropology adjacent in like ecology or like taphonomy or paleontology general?
Is it like -1?
Yeah, it is. It is -1, actually. We have a plant geneticist and a guy with a bachelor's in biology.
Awesome.
Which is not a bad thing. I have to be very clear, like, a lot about this. Very often I like to reiterate this. There is nothing wrong with having like, whatever, a degree in something and talking about it with authority. You just have to cite your sources. In fact, you need to cite your sources even if you are an expert or like formally educated or whatever. But on top of that, though, it's like, really my big beef is that I can't think of one single time where a person who is not educated at all in a subject has come in and overturned the paradigm, right?
Yeah, that is not a thing that really happens because you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. You have to know what you're overturning to overturn it, right? You have to have a decent understanding of it. To understand evolution would be, incidentally, to accept it. So, needless to say, there's a lot to get into here. A whole lot of bungling. Let's just put it that way.
All right. Well, so here on the channel, this Thursday is going to be the next episode of Helping Cindy Lincoln. I'm going to actually double check to see what that one is about because I don't remember what they are, honestly, in order because I think there's like 5 or 6 of them ultimately. So let me actually double check. Give me just a second. I'm going to filter to things that aren't publicly available on my channel, but that have been uploaded. So let's see. Next one. Actually, this next one is transitional fossils definitely exist, and it's going to go into a lot of hominin transitional fossils. So hopefully Eric isn't going to be too angry about my various mistakes there, because I'm sure I made some. But
I'm sure you were just fine.
To be fair, I did actually direct people in the video to your channel for a more in-depth look at hominin and ancestry and whatnot.
Just give my sweet homie my favorite hominin, Ardipithecus ramidus.
Oh, Ardipithecus doesn't come up.
A good shout out.
Really?
Oh my god, but it's the perfect transition for bipedality. By the time you get to Australopithecus, it's already fully bipedal.
Cindy doesn't bring it up. Sorry. Gary DeVere sends a level +1 super sticker for $10. Thank you very much. Actually, I've never seen that super sticker. I like it.
Well, that thing is one-upping big time.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know if I have anything for Saturday. I don't currently have anything planned. I am thinking about things I could do on Saturday if I have a Saturday stream. So, but then next Tuesday should be Matt with Maddie with Science Side Up, where we're going to take a look at Matt Powell. By the way, to be fair, it doesn't always have to be Matt Powell. Raw Matt is also in contention for Matt with Maddie episodes. Because apparently...
You're picking, getting stabbed in the left side or the right side.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry.
It is the same thing.
Dr. Rawmat. Gonna get out there with the Dr. Rawmat.
Does he even have that shitty Patriot University degree to back that claim up?
I have literally no idea on what basis anyone has decided that he's a doctor. I've never even seen him claim to have a PhD from any even fake university.
I think Matt Powell and Raw Matt are rubbing their collective 3 neurons together to devise this scam where Raw Matt has any kind of credibility. This is a man who, and I cannot bring this up enough times, eat raw honey.
Exclusively raw honey.
Only stuff in it. He claims he foraged in the wild for, what was it, like 6 months? 3
Something
months?
like that, yeah. I just have to imagine he's just covered in bee sting welts the whole time.
It's just a horrible time for any family hiking nearby.
By the way, if you want to see some of my favorite Raw Mat clips, I have a video on my channel called Raw Mat for DFOTY, which if you don't know what that stands for, let someone else tell you. But yeah, it has some of my favorite Raw Mat clips in it, and it's pretty wild. Let's just say that.
That was right around when he committed academic fraud, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And when I got so far my only death threat from the channel. Yeah, that's all around the same time. So, all right.
Oh, that is true, Dr. Osiris. Matt Powell does have a giant inflatable banana stuck in his backyard that he calls Dr. Peel.
That's
I've heard
true,
he's been
yeah.
intimate with it, actually.
I don't know, but I will say he did actually. Mr. Peel did show up in one of my videos. So I did a video that was originally aired on Vice Rhino's channel, and then I did mirror it, and Dr. Peel definitely shows up in that video.
Dr. Peel.
Oh, is it Dr. Peel? Was it Mr. Peel? I can't remember. Let's just go with Dr. Peel because, I mean, they're just tossing around doctorates, right? So, all right, I want to say...
Matter. I mean, Matt and I have talked about this before, but we're both doctors if we're using the criteria that Raw Matt used. Okay, sorry.
That's true. All right, so I want to say a special thank you to everyone who super chatted or sent super stickers, including Mr. Wilford, Carrie Bronson, Goopdo3, Cedric Saunders, Throw the Dwarf of the House of Torg, and Maynard Saves, and Eric Verthaler 92. I really appreciate it, guys. It really does help out the channel. And with that, we're out of here. Stay tuned for Thursday. I'll hopefully see all of you there. Bye. I just want to take a moment to thank my channel members and my patrons on Patreon. They really help keep the lights on here. And I want to thank those pledging $20 or above, especially Bob Knob, Benthoven, Ian Chen, Chris Love, Sphincter of Doom, The Venerable Bede, Pat L. Dennis, and Res Instance. Without the support of those whose names you see on screen right now, the channel simply wouldn't exist as it does now, and I certainly wouldn't be able to do 2 to 3 videos a week for over a year and a half now. If you would like to help support and make it so that this channel is something that can keep going, there is a link to join below the video, as well as a link to the Patreon in the channel description. If pledging money isn't right for you, please just hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and share my videos. That really helps my channel grow.